actually invite you to set up a club at SOAS that would be a sort of financial inclusion club where you internally have discussion like this, and then you can come to me and say, Antonella, we would like to have conversation of this topic. Can you help us facilitating speakers? Can you help us finding the right angle? Can you help us to have meaningful conversation?
One thing we don't seem to learn in school and in education systems is financial literacy, like literally basic things as how interest rates work and how that affects my money in my account, and what type of account can I even open, and how does inflation affect my money, and being prepared and understanding what services and products I have at what I have at my access. When I was younger, I'd always pay my bills late and do things like that just because I was lazy, just wasn't bothered to do it on time, to be honest. And I had no idea that these things affect your future and affect your flexibility to do certain things in the future.
For me, the themes of the financial inclusion could include the following, each of the which could develop into a different aspect of financial inclusion. I do some research, and the one of is the inclusive financial policy and practices. The second is technology and financial inclusion. The third is financial education and training. And the fourth is financial involvement and social impact. So the purpose of this event theme is to promote understanding and discussions of financial inclusion, share experience and best practice, promote joint effect of the enhanced accessibility and effect of the financial service.
Because of my personal background, like living with single mother and all that, I'm more interested in gender issues. So women, gender pay gap, sort of that. And I also read in the plan that we need to make an event for SOAS students regarding financial inclusion. So I guess I thought we could host an event for SOAS students who identify as women. I mean, obviously men are free to join, but yeah. So I guess we could include topics like how to negotiate salary, how to budget, and what help they can get as young women, and so on. And I think this is sort of important from financial inclusion perspective, because I think by educating young women who are just starting out in their career, we could potentially close the gender pay gap in the future and also contribute to social and economic equality. So I guess my topic would be mastering financial freedom for young women.
Firstly, for me, I'm particularly intrigued by the fact that how fintech companies can pave the way more towards, for example, financial inclusivity. And I use the example of bKash, which is where I grew up in Bangladesh, and it was used as a way it started as a mobile banking platform for peer-to-peer money transferring, essentially for young people who grew up in the cities, and they used it to transfer money back home in rural areas as a way to not only transfer money at ease, but also to families who did not have access to traditional banking accounts. And that essentially grew into a digital full-scale fintech company, which now offers payment services as ways to pay, for example, energy bills or even just retail shopping. And what that really inspires me is the fact that how money is not only being circulated around the economy, it has contributed more towards socio-economic development, more towards bringing people into the banking net, whether it's including more people from the younger generations or even just, for example, gender gaps and all. It contributes more towards the SDGs. And picking up from there, I think if I had to really pick a specific interest of what I would like to see in this case, would probably be how, for example, banking institutions and fintech companies can come together and work more towards about what can be done to boost financial literacy or even just empowering communities. But for me, generally, these ideas just stem from looking at bKash, if that makes sense. I think one thing can lead to another. So if, for example, if someone already has a good understanding of internet, they would also be able to, they can incline more towards, for example, financial literacy through a digital education. So one thing can definitely lead to another, which in turn, I think can play a big role in uplifting a community in the long run?
Affordable housing is really important because there's not a lot of it and it's difficult to convince people to do it. And this London CLT in particular is a really interesting company in that they are already doing it, and it's a model that could be applied to emerging markets as well. And for people our age, students in particular, it's probably going to start being a concern as uni draws to a close. So I feel like it would be a good way to draw people in.
You know, I come from a South American background where no one in my family had education higher than maybe third year in secondary school, or, you know, even me being born in this country, but sometimes maybe even having to educate my parents on things from back home where they were raised because they just had no idea. So I think it shows that you genuinely don't know until you're not informed, until you're not educated, until you're not shown things. Something so simple like, you know, being able to have not just a regular bank account, but being able to open a savings account, or, you know, no, let me not take all my money out of my bank account because I need to save it under the mattress. You know, these are things that still go on and that still happen. Something so basic like being able to keep your money in a bank account because it's something normal, because it's something that we do. And the reason why I went back to education is because there's also, I think, a lot of barriers with language. I think the first thing we need to see is that in London there is so much diversity. You know, there is people from different countries, people that have been living here for 10, 20 plus years and maybe still don't comprehend even maybe level 2 English. Because in their mind they just come here to make money and go back home, or they just see London as kind of what people would describe as the rat race. Don't want to go too deep into other topics, but it's just the way I see it. So yeah, honestly, you know, things like banners or having adverts, having commercials, using different strategies of advertisement, just to be able to show people basic things like, you know, come down to this event in Spanish, come down to this event in Bengali, in Arabic, in all the different languages, and, you know basic things about finance in the country you live in. And yeah, it's truly the thing that I'm most passionate about when it comes to financial inclusion.
So my topic kind of like falls along with the points that have been said already. So I was thinking more like of traditional credit scoring methods, how they usually just assess by looking at people's credit history, their income, but it kind of overlooks like people that have limited to no credit history, for example, like immigrants. That's why I feel like it goes with the other topics, because me personally, I also come from an immigrant family as well, and we're mostly African. So my mom, she's been here as well for 10 years, and her English is not that good. She doesn't have access to credit as other people may have. She wants to buy a house, but she doesn't know where to start. I might also like help her sometimes, but she's like scared, because there's these misconceptions as well about credit a lot in like immigrant families. They think that for you to build credit is like something out of this world, you know. For them to get credit card, they get scared because they're like, oh my God, I'm in debt. So for them, it's like different. They kind of like that financial literacy. So that's what I think as well that is really important, that I think it would be really beneficial for everyone to talk about.
Can I create this conversation between the stakeholders and the students? Because based on my experience as a financial management student, I don't have that much chance to speak with stakeholders or those that actually work in the financial system. And but I want also to emphasize that, and it's one of the topics you cover, is about fintech and digital service for financial inclusion. So I believe you can also combine like the household situation and the literacy, also with like the women issue, or like even in general those part of the population that is not actually considered. So even you can also like call undergrads. So they're of course young, and maybe not all of them have a bank account, or like they don't actually use any digital financial service. So you can also ask their opinion and maybe have at least one student that take the lead and speak with like in the workshop.
I think if that analyst is especially from an underrepresented background, I think they will almost instinctively be able to tell you things that they didn't expect in their process. I mean, they might be able to tell you about a technical interview or a behavioral or whatever, but the things like how you're expected to be around clients, what kind of soft skills are valued, what kind of anything intangible that you can't really put into writing. But if you get somebody exposed to those ideas, they'd be able to kind of bring that on and see that that skill is valued. I think just having that connection with somebody in the industry who's been there and done it, especially if they're junior, so they're a little bit more relatable, that chasm isn't that wide, that in of itself will foster a kind of real tangible inclusion.